Welcome. I'd like to open up the August 12th, 2024 Merrimack School Board meeting. Will everyone stand with me to say the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. Well, this is usually one of our quietest meetings of the summer while people are still enjoying the last few weeks, which has been a wonderful day today. I will open it up to public comment in case someone comes into the room. As always, if you're watching online, we have 2 times of public comment. You may come and state your name and address, and if you're a student, you never have to say your address, and we love to get student feedback. So anytime you want to come make a public comment, we have those times available. I'm going to turn it over to our wonderful CEO, Bill Olson, for recognitions.
Well, we have no recognitions tonight, but hopefully we will at the very first meeting of the new school year.
Okay, well, then we will move on to your update.
Well, school begins in another couple of weeks for students. It begins on the 29th, Thursday, August 29th. 3 days before that, Amy has a action-packed 3 days of PD. One of those days will be building-based for the teachers in accordance with the contract, but lots of well-planned, and she can explain that certainly. But school will begin on the 29th. Once again this year, if you'll please consult the school calendar, we like to have students in kindergarten, grade 5, grade 7, and grade 9. They will be coming at their regular start time on the 29th. All of the grades will have a 2-hour delay. That will allow our students who are transitioning into either kindergarten or into a new school setting a couple of hours to become acclimated, feel a little bit more comfortable and at ease in the new building that they will be attending. That has worked out well in the past, and we will do that again this year. We just completed 2 days of our August retreat. We did a review with the leadership team of the strategic plan of your goals from the goal-setting meeting in June. We've come up with a few ideas in terms of priorities for the building. The buildings themselves, and district-wide. We'll talk about those more at our upcoming leadership team, the first leadership team meeting of the school year. What we are trying to do in looking at the strategic plan and your goals is to take a look at how the strategic plan initiatives in various areas and your goals can be operationalized to essentially meet the vision of a learner and vision of a graduate. You know, there was a lot of work done in this school district on the vision of a learner prior to the strategic plan, and we can't just let that lie idly and just have that be a series of descriptors of what we would like to see in students. We need to do our part and make sure that comes alive. And so we're going to work to that end. There are no easy answers to that. It will be a kind of a long-term process in terms of curriculum and instruction, professional development, and we're looking forward to it. Hopefully, you've had a chance to look at the strategic plan. We'll talk about that in a little while. And when we get there, we'll thank all of those who were involved. So we're looking forward to getting started again. It's been a fast summer. Hopefully everyone has had a wonderful summer. It's certainly been warm. And it'll be great to see everyone again because the school buildings are just that, just brick and mortar buildings, but they come alive just adding students and staff, and magic happens. So looking forward to seeing everyone.
All right, we will move on to the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum update.
Good evening, everyone. So it's August, and it's the Sunday of the summer, and it's we need to get ready to kick off the school year. And as Bill said, we just came off of our 2 days of leadership retreat, and it was a great opportunity for us to get together and talk about our goals. As Bill mentioned, I do have a couple of days of really action-packed. I like the way you said that. It's going to be, to welcome back teachers and staff and to get ready for students. I do want to take an opportunity to thank the students and families and teachers and staff for a successful summer of learning and programming for students. We served hundreds of students this summer, and really looking forward to closing the gaps that students have, and then also provide some enrichment. If you had a chance to go by Camp Invention or to look at some of the other offerings that we had, it was a really exciting summer. So I just want to thank all of you for your support, as well as families who organized those schedules to get students here. Tomorrow, our district mentoring program kicks off. That's called the Torchbearers, and you'll hear a little bit more about that as the year goes on. But this is our opportunity to start to welcome new staff and help them acclimate to their new community. Curriculum teams are still meeting. We've had at different grade levels: science, literacy, math, world language, social studies. We're really trying to get our curriculum in order for the new school year. We've also done some planning for Wit and Wisdom. We have another strategic planning update coming next week. And just to put in a plug that we are still looking to fill a few teaching positions, specifically special education. So if you happen to have a special education license and you're hearing this message, please consider applying. And of course, we have a lot of support staff positions open. So we look forward to the next school year.
Questions, comments? All right, Assistant Superintendent for Business Update.
Thank you very much. It has sure been one heck of a ride this summer. We're trying to finish up or get close to completing all the security cameras and all the classroom door locks and everything like that. It's around $300,000 worth of work that we're working at. The roof is almost complete. Weather was our friend this year with the little amount of rain, so that was a plus. I'd like to have the first couple of weeks be maybe snow days this summer, spring, because we need more time. We're dealing with some building issues of a mechanical nature right now that are really kind of challenging, but through working with Tom Tussaud and the maintenance department and our various vendors, we'll kind of get through those. So it's been a rough year, but it's been a rewarding year, and in the end, everything comes together and kids come, and it all is worth it in the end. So that's it for the summer. I'm going to steal a line from Bill. I've had several Malox moments this summer. Thank you.
I don't know, that might age all of us. For school board update, I just want to state that we will, as Bill mentioned, do a detailed presentation of our goals as a school board in September with the strategic plan, so that is a robust presentation for the public. Also, our next meeting needs to be September 9th, because September 2nd is Labor Day. The question that I have for the board is, normally we are first and third, which would put our next meeting at the 16th of September, but then it would be 3 weeks till our next October meeting. So what is the board's pleasure, to meet the 9th and the 16th, or the 9th and the 23rd?
I think the calendar works out really well to meet the 9th and the 23rd, because the following Monday is September 30th, and then that puts us right back on track in October.
Yep.
So
All right, so we may have to adjust our room schedule, since those are not our normal Monday nights here, but we will schedule those meetings for September 9th and September 23rd. Does that work for administration? Okay. All right, any other questions on that? Okay, and we do not have a student rep yet, but I look forward to seeing who will be joining us in the fall. Moving on to old business before we start the next section of our agenda, I just want to state for the record that board member Lori Rothaus is excused tonight. All of you received the letter that was drafted on the issue with the low salt request on Continental. Are there any questions, concerns, or thoughts on this drafted letter?
just a couple thoughts. And I wasn't here for the discussion in July, so I apologize for that. But I did watch the discussion, and it's pretty much what we talked about back in June. And I guess my only thought is I share the concerns from the original letter when it comes to the salt numbers in our water areas. I share those concerns, and while I am completely in agreement that I don't want to say like we're different, like we should we should be able to use the salt because we have all these liabilities concerns. I wish there was a way, and maybe I'm missing it in the language in this letter, I wish there was a way to communicate like we recognize that this is an issue and we recognize that this is something that needs to be addressed, but we also have a responsibility to our students and our teachers and our area to make sure our areas are safe for them to walk. And so I don't know if there's a way to add that language, or like I said, maybe I'm missing it in the current letter.
Naomi,
I had the same thought.
I did too.
Is that it sounded too much like a hard no, and I don't think that's what we intended to communicate.
Correct.
And something that just occurred to me, like in the intervening meeting between now and then, is in addition to like risk of buses being out on the road and whatever, it occurred to me that different management practices could potentially impact school cancellations. Like if the roads get slipperier, we might have to cancel school more often. And it's not to say, I agree with, we absolutely want to make this as low salt an area as possible. That's 100%. We agree with them on that, but we just need some assurance that, because that language wasn't in the original letter, that those things are being taken into account.
Well, we could add a line before that second paragraph that says, we, the Merrimack School District School Board, recognize the significant concern and impact that salt use affects groundwater and our wells. And we support looking for innovative ways to limit and reduce salt use in these areas. However, we decline to sign or otherwise support blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
Is that kind of the language you're looking for?
Yeah.
I would like something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like the tone, I guess, of this letter. Like, I think that would change the tone to be a little bit more, we support that. We share the same goal of wanting to reduce the salt in our water. However, yes, I agree.
May I ask if you would communicate that
Yes,
to Sandy and myself?
Yes.
We'll make sure that we talk with Labor Council.
absolutely, absolutely. So hopefully we'll get another draft like this week out to everybody. Okay. Any other discussion on that topic? Okay, under new business, the fun stuff is the strategic plan discussion.
Well, we have provided you, I think we sent this out maybe a couple of weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, so that you might have a chance to take a look at it. Different people have different ideas about what a strategic plan should include and encompass, but we've tried to cover 6 very important focus areas. This process took over a year. It began back actually a couple of years ago, 2.5 years ago, when Kim Yalot was working with staff on Vision of a Learner. Then Amy took over and had a number of meetings with staff on the Vision of a Learner, or Vision of a Graduate, that was prepared for the NEASC High School review. We put together the committee of about 25 people, that included staff, students, community members, business people, and came up with strategic initiatives under the 6 focus areas, who would be responsible for the work on that particular initiative, a timeline for implementation, and a measure of achievement. And so we wanted to present it to you so that you could review it in the context of the goals that we have developed, and we will not finalize this until you actually wind up approving it. And it may not be at tonight's meeting, it could be at the following meeting or meetings. We just want you to feel comfortable with it and its content before we have it printed. We will have it digitally available online, but also we will have some hard copies available in each of our buildings for parents or for staff.
So discussion on what you have before you.
So
Yes.
yeah, when I got it, I was like, wow, this is a lot. And I said, who's going to read through this whole thing? And then I read through the whole thing. It's beautifully laid out. It's really well done in terms of just presentation. I love the glossary of terms. I can't say how important that is to something like this, because I've been doing this for almost 20 years and I still don't know what some acronyms mean. And so I think it's great. And you can just tell through the wording and some of the timelines that there was a lot of thought that went into this from a lot of folks. And, when you have, the list of people who participated in these discussions is pretty extensive. And when you have that many voices and that many, just that much input, it can be hard to sort of formalize it and make it palatable to a lot of folks. And I just think it was really well done. And going through all the goals, I thought everything was very reasonable. I thought a lot of the timelines were really reasonable. I didn't see anything. In fact, some of them I was like, really? You're going to have that done by this time? Like I was like, okay. So yeah, I just think it's really, really well done. And there's a lot of, I hope people get a chance to check this out. I would recommend holding off until everyone's present to vote on it, just because, I would want that if I wasn't here. But my only, I guess, what is the word? Not critique, is just going all the way down to the facilities area. There's no mention of like a performing arts need. Which is very much a very big need in our district. So that would be the only thing that stood out as missing. Everything else I think is pretty well covered, and I think it's awesome. It's a great document. Besides that one tiny little thing, that one tiny, very expensive, big thing.
Very big thing. I'm wondering, just thinking out loud, because the SAU building is in there, if maybe, because our strategic plan is just for a few years, if that would be a great item for our next strategic plan.
I'm up for it for any strategic plan, whether
True,
it's this one
but
or
I
the next
agree.
one.
It is a big need.
Yeah, but I would also say that the SAU building is the priority if we're talking about new spaces. So I would be fine with that too.
But I agree, and it would be a gem in this town. Any other thoughts, comments?
I was just gonna say how much needed this was. And I think that when the community says, between our school board goals and this strategic plan, like, what are we doing? What are we about? What direction are we rowing? There's no question anymore. It's spelled out in black and, well, blue and white, and it's just very well done. And it just really helps us all articulate our priorities and gives us focus. And I think we've realized that this administration, this district, and this board work really well with those, because we've accomplished a lot when we've spelled it out and chased hard after just those things. So I echo Ken's comments completely, including the Performing Arts Center.
I don't have a lot of feedback on the plan itself because I was on the committee. So actually what I do want to just highlight is all of the other people who are on the committee. We had representation from, let me see, there were principals from, I believe, every school, or administration from every school. There were parents, there were community members, there were business owners, there were coaches, there were students, there were teachers. Just so many people spent so much time and energy helping us with this, and I really appreciate them and wanted to thank them for all their hard work on that committee.
And just to kind of further acknowledge those folks, can you, maybe Naomi, you can do this. What was the schedule like for this committee? Like, this was a regular meet. Like, I remember, like, we would have these meetings, and then you guys were talking about, okay, we got to do the strategic plan meeting tomorrow, or something along those lines. So.
It was twice a month for like 6 months, something like that. It was a lot. But they were really good meetings. We had a lot of really good discussions.
I do have one question. Given that the high school did its accreditation with NEASC, is the high school administration working on their CSIP now to align with the strategic plan?
They are doing some of that. They've had their first year of feedback, and then when he writes his update, he'll include some of this work plus some of incorporating the feedback that he got in the spring. So Yes.
Okay, good. We want everything to dovetail together, so we're all on the same page. All right, any remaining comments or thoughts? And I agree with Ken. I would like Lori to be here for us to present this and be able to have an opportunity to vote. I'll just say that.
So if there are any other comments between now and the next meeting, please let us know. All right? And, you know, I'm sitting here, Ken, thinking, I know we had discussions about a performing arts center, and how did it not wind up in,
That's just always the first thing I look
You know?
for. So,
Yeah.
so it's unfair on my part because that's immediately what I have a
yeah?
focus on.
But
So.
as soon as you mention it, I'm saying, how did it not wind up in there? So
Well.
apologize for that.
There's great everything else in there is fabulous. So
Okay, we are going to go to our policy, and we have a temporary update to Title IX, which consumed a lot of paper, if you noticed, and it's pretty extensive. But Bill was very kind to summarize the major changes into a 2-page document, so I'm going to turn it over to him.
Well, I'm not going to address too much on this policy tonight because it is a work in progress, although we have been advised, since the regulations require us to have this revised Title I policy in place for August 1st, we have been advised by our legal counsel to pass this on an interim basis without a review process that we normally go through, but then we'll start working on the formal process, policy that will pertain to Merrimack. We have a meeting with our legal counsel on August 21st. Our entire leadership team meets with our legal counsel for one day. It's a full day of essentially professional development and training, and this is one of the focal points of that meeting. So that what I'm going to suggest is you have the 9 or 10 major changes, but I'm looking forward to hopefully bringing back a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit more information from our meeting with the legal counsel about Title IX. See if we can distill it down a little bit more into plain English, and then bring forth sometime in very early September to you the policy as it pertains to our school district. So the most important thing to accomplish tonight is to pass the interim policy with the understanding that we will be bringing forth a more formal policy for the Merrimack School District in the not-too-distant future.
Do I have a motion to accept the temporary Title IX policy?
I'll make a motion and then we can discuss.
Yep.
Is that okay? Cool. So I'll make a
Sure.
motion to accept the ACAC Title IX interim policy.
Do I have a second? Seconded by Jenna. Open for discussion.
So just so I know exactly what we're talking about, and folks may be watching at home, the interim, is that this document here?
Yes,
that you
it's
gave? Okay.
from the New Hampshire School Board Association. Mhm.
That fella. Okay, cool. All right.
Right.
And then I think that other one you held up is what our current policy
This is
is.
our
Is that
current
correct?
policy.
New Hampshire School Board
Aha.
with the yellow and the green. Right.
Okay, cool.
The summary of the changes, I will say, was extremely helpful.
Yeah. And these changes are coming down from the U.S. Department of Ed, right? Just
That's
so folks
correct.
who are watching
Mhm.
might be wondering why these changes are going into effect.
Yeah.
So these are federally mandated updates to Title IX.
Yeah.
Cool.
And there are some, some that make it a little bit easier to implement, some that, make it always a little bit challenging. One of the key changes is that previously the investigator and the decision maker had to be two different people. Now it could be the same person, essentially.
That was going to be one of my clarifying questions as number 5, return to the single investigator model. Is that basically what you just said? So
Yes.
now there's one
Mhm.
person doing the investigation if there's a claim?
That's right.
Okay.
I would also add that I like to see the change that, having had a daughter who was a teacher who was nursing, the lactation provisions, that it's private. Too many teachers have to do it in their classroom and hope somebody doesn't come bursting through the door, knock on the door, or be disturbed, or they have to cover a class and now they've missed their window and those things. And this protects that significantly, and I'm glad to see that in there. And I'm not saying that happened here in this district. I'm just saying it happens across the nation, and now there's provision and protection.
Well, and the updated definition of sexual harassment, which I think has come a long way since 2021, yeah.
Well, and even just the redefinition of the term. Yeah, right, yeah. I like that. Well, it's appropriate. I shouldn't say I like that, but
No, but I think it makes it easier for those who are suffering to be protected.
yep.
All right, well, then I'm going to call the question. Do we have a vote on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
400.
Thank you very much.
I look forward to seeing the final, and with that, we'll go through the usual review process. Okay, returning to our promotion and retention policy based on the feedback, the last discussion we had.
Well, I'm going to recommend that you take a final vote to approve this so we can have it in place for the opening of school. In fact, I was talking with one of our principals today who will be having a conversation with a parent this week about a possible retention issue of a child that has come in from another area of the country. And I said, why don't you hold off for a day or so on the assumption that you would approve this policy. As you know, we had no retention and promotion policy. So what we've drafted is not only a policy, but also the regulations, the procedures, which I think are pretty clearly spelled out with the assistance of our legal counsel. And I'm going to recommend to you that you approve this tonight.
Do I have a motion to accept?
I move that we approve the policy and procedures for the promotion and retention of students.
Moved by Naomi Halter. Do I have a second? Second by Jenna Hardy. All those in favor? Oh, discussion. Okay. All those in favor? 400.
Thank you very much.
All right. We are at approval of the minutes from our July 15th, 2024 public meeting. Do I have a motion to accept?
I move we accept the minutes from July 15th, 2024.
Do I have a second? All right. Moved by Naomi Halter, seconded by Jenna Hardy. Any discussion? Changes? Edits? Perfect. All those in favor say aye. All those no. All those abstain. 301. Moving on to the consent agenda.
There are a variety of resignations and nominations in your packet tonight. I thought we would start with those and then we can move on to the approval of some sidebars and memorandums of understanding. Resignations tonight: Carol Lewis, the digital learning specialist from Reeds Ferry; Casey Morin, elementary teacher, Reeds Ferry; Melissa Terry, preschool teacher, Reeds Ferry; Lisa Kennedy, elementary classroom teacher from Muse; Brianna Goodrich Bundy, English teacher from Merrimack High School; Kyle Mason, social studies teacher, Merrimack High School; and Aaron Regis, special education coordinator, Merrimack High School. We want to take this opportunity to thank these folks for their service to the district and wish them well in their new endeavors. Nominations: Melissa, I think it's Bezenson, math teacher at Merrimack High School; Cynthia Joyce, art teacher, Reeds Ferry; Kira McCarthy, physical education teacher, Merrimack High School; Darcy Borowitz, English teacher, Merrimack High School; Karen King returns in a part-time capacity as a special education teacher, again at Merrimack High School; Caitlin Mooney, music teacher, Thornton's Ferry; and Steve LaBelle, elementary teacher at Muse.
Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented? Moved by Ken Martin. Do I have a second? Second by Naomi Halter. Cannot speak tonight. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye, 400.
All right, and next is the approval of the Mesa vacation sidebar.
So, as noted before, we have the calculation for vacation as a sidebar to the Mesa contract. Do I have a motion to accept that?
I'll make a motion. I would be happy to make a motion that we approve the Mesa vacation sidebar.
Do I have a second?
I'll make a second.
All right, moved by Jenna Hardy, second by Ken Martin. Discussion? All those in favor say aye. 400.
And the last business under the consent agenda is the approval of the MTA classroom coverage memo of agreement.
This memo provides ongoing coverage for teachers who cover classes paid for the coverage, and it extends it to the end of the MTA contract of June 30th, 2026. Additionally, it recalculates if a teacher is covering more than 10 days of an absent teacher. Do I have a motion to accept?
I will make that motion.
Moved by Ken Martin. Do I have a second? Seconded by Naomi Halter. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. 400. We are blazing through this agenda tonight, folks. But it is summer. Do we have any committee reports? I know that Lori will probably have one when she returns. Any correspondence? I've just had some emails that were just forwarded on to administration, or I just happened to be CC'd on, but it's been pretty quiet. And then I had some conversation with MVD members about the letter. And I just said that we would be presenting our letter tonight. All right, comments from the board.
I'll just say that I know many pre-school years groups are starting to get things going. I know athletics are probably up and running in the next week or so, marching band and all that stuff. And it's always just a very exciting time of year. And I don't get me wrong, I love summer. And it's one of those, this is one of those times of year where you start flipping that year in your head of like the school year is coming. And there's just always something I think kind of exciting about it. We went in school supply shopping today for my son, and he was all of a sudden went from like, I really don't want to do this to like, oh yeah, this is kind of fun. So, as our families are out there are enjoying last few days of freedom and sunshine and all that, it's very exciting to get going again in the upcoming year. And it's always just a great time. So,
And sweater weather is approaching.
oh yeah, today for sure.
And I just want to encourage our faculty and staff and our administrators also to enjoy the remaining days of summer and read a book, watch another Netflix show, enjoy, and come back ready to roll. It's going to be an exciting and great year. Any other comments? All right. Well, once again, this is the second part of our agenda where we have public comments on agenda items only. We always want to invite the public to come and share with us their name and address, and students just share their name. But again, we love to have community feedback. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Naomi,
Second.
seconded by Ken. All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you and good night.